Have you heard of this guy, David Seymour? I think his name is. He doesn't come up very much at
Oh,
the
he's
moment.
the Minister of Twerks.
Yeah, the Minister of Twerks. So, what I would like to show you is a couple of these are very short clips, only 1 minute and then followed by a 30-second clip. And it kind of tails onto what he's still saying about this referendum. And the first part, he wants to make it very clear that he thinks Luxon is a jellyfish with no spine. Well, that would be a
Oh,
jellyfish anyway, but
that,
has no spine.
that,
This is what he thinks.
Yeah, look, I mean, last week he wouldn't rule out supporting it further. Yesterday he would. I think perhaps he got a bit nervous after Waitangi, but ultimately the bit I don't believe is that he won't change his mind if the public really want it. All politicians are very mindful of what the public want, and I've seen polls published in the Herald that said that 60% of New Zealanders agree with what we're saying on the treaty, 18% disagree.
oh, a Herald
They want
poll
this
agrees
debate.
with you.
And
Okay.
I think ultimately it's not about what I think or what Chris thinks or what we say right now. It's where the public are at in maybe a year's time when this thing comes up. And I just also point out that we've actually been here before. At the start of the John Key government, ACT introduced the 3 strikes idea. National at the time said, oh no, would never, it's just not going to happen. You ask anyone from the National Party today, it's the best idea they ever had, 3 strikes. In fact, we're about to bring it back, and that's a great thing because we've been far too soft on criminals.
But that's true. They've swayed them before. There's something I want to really show you. I want to show you about this conversation, though. It's quite important. These are 2 of the quotes that he said. One of the things he said was, the bit I don't believe is Luxon won't change his mind. If the public really want it, all politicians are very mindful of what the public want. There was a quote from that thing. Another time he said, ultimately, it's not about what I think or what Chris thinks or what we say right now. It's where the public are in maybe a year's time when this thing comes up. Now, I wanted to make this really clear. Seymour is basically saying, for this policy or this idea, that whatever the public wants, we just got to follow. Whatever the public wants, we just got to follow. If the public really want it, we have to do it. Straight away, I think about some legislations that they want to bring in, let's say around firearms and stuff, that it would appear to me from the research the public really don't want. But for those ones, it'll be about the rights of the individual. It'll have nothing to do with what the public wants. So we have to be really careful that we don't let Seymour sell this as a public desire so politicians have to do it, because there's plenty of other ACT policy that the public don't want that they'll still ram through, Chewy.
Yeah, hugely popular policy would have been a wealth tax. The people overwhelmingly
capital
wanted
gains.
That. So I assume that means that he's bringing that in. No, look, there's a couple of things that really concern me about what he's saying. Well, one thing that really concerns me about what he's saying, and one thing that I'm going to say that he's right on. The thing that I'm concerned about is this is the second time that I've heard him specifically mention that year-long timeline. Right. He has a year to inject his messaging into the public discussion space. And we know that some people are going to lap it up. We know it's going to be regurgitated in comment sections and Facebook threads and all sorts of letters to the editor. And yeah, when he's pulling numbers like, 60% of people support this in a Herald poll, or did he go to some fucking Christchurch working man's club and ask them what they thought of Māori? Like, just, the thing that he's right on, and he keeps messaging this, and this is great because I want you all to listen to it. He knows that Luxon is vulnerable to public opinion.
Yeah.
He wants his people to make submissions. He is telling people what to do, and we should do what he's telling us to do, and that is make submissions. As this comes through, I will become unbearable at reminding people to do submissions. Fucking do them, email them, call your MP, everything. Because if it's got to be more than going to the street, and it's got to be more than putting stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. It's got to be in submission form. He knows it. Those guys are going to look at it, and hopefully, with enough public opinion polls, Luxon will realise that people don't like him being a dumb, racist piece of shit. So That's what we're going to do, people. Easy.
We just have to really work on you when you're a bit ambiguous about what you're feeling, Chewy. I never can quite read beneath the surface of what you're thinking.
I like to give myself a little bit of wiggle room so I can go back at a later date and go, look, you've misconstrued my words there. That's actually not my intention.
All right, last time for the week, I promise, guys. What the public wants and needs is a proper conversation. Is his last telling point. There's only 30 seconds.
You've got to think about what the public wants and needs. The Treaty of Waitangi for the last 40 years has had these principles developed. They've been developed by the courts, by the Waitangi Tribunal, by the public service. They've told us that there's a partnership between the Crown and Maori, which means that the status of everyone else in New Zealand is a bit unclear. Now, we're proposing that maybe we need to have a proper public discussion about the treaty, not just judges, not just the Waitangi Tribunal, not just public servants, actually everyone.
So, a proper conversation. A thing is, this is the shell game. They're not suggesting a proper conversation. They're suggesting potentially a binary referendum with a yes/no. Actually, because I think everyone would support a proper conversation. What people are angsty against is a very small party putting the parameters around what's going to be talked about, making it a yes or no, as Chloe keeps saying, a binary option, and not actually having a conversation. If this was more like like they do the inquests and that kind of stuff, if we were having an inquest into it, or if there was a royal commission into it and people could do submissions, that would be a very different vibe, because there wouldn't be a premise from one side saying this is what we're going to do. See, it's not really a conversation when you say this is the answer, do you agree with me? That's not a conversation, right? A conversation would be really interesting. I'm up for that. Let's have a conversation. The conversation doesn't start with one side going, this is the answer. A conversation starts with one guy going, this is the topic. What's the answer going to be? So again, don't be fooled by the shell game, right? Don't be fooled by him saying what the public wants in other ways he won't. And don't be fooled by him saying we want to have a healthy conversation when that's not what they're offering.